Matey. Me and my fellow mates, we just wanted to know if you got any firearms at full price. We just landed a lot of booty. We love the opportunity to spend it on some firearms.
Hey, Mr. Pirate. I'll be honest with you, I don't sell any firearms at the moment at full price. The reality is all of my firearms are on sale. They're all at cost. They're on my website or whether they're in my store, they're all at cost. There's some caveats in there, and I'll go over that later. But sorry, I simply at the moment don't sell full priced firearms. Dude, hey, I saw your sign up front. Hey, when you say all, does that really mean all firearms? Because I'd love to have some firearms. Me and my surfing buddies, we'd love to have it. But does it really mean all? Hey, surfer dude, listen, as long as you're a gun-loving, patriot-loving, solid American citizen, and you are eligible to buy a firearm, I'm more than willing to sell anybody, anywhere, a firearm under the laws of the land here, right? So yes, and so it does actually mean all, right? So it's not just the ones I have in store, not just the ones I have online. I have tons of firearms. I'm selling them all at cost. And I'd love to, help out you and your surfing buddies exercise your Second Amendment right. But again, I only sell it to law-abiding American patriots, and hopefully, such as yourself. Hey, I'm just curious. How could you possibly be selling firearms at cost? I mean, that just doesn't represent a viable business model. And do you think there's any risk to the public if you're flooding the streets of Lovettsville with firearms? Hey, so listen, I'm glad you asked. Every American has, actually every human has a natural right from gun for self-defense, right? And that right within the United States is protected by the Second Amendment. This has been upheld repeatedly throughout the course of our nation's history. If you look at the origins of the Second Amendment, if you look at, court rulings, especially the Heller, case, and the one in D.C., another one in D.C., you'll find out that no, you have a right to defend yourself. Part of that right is exercised through the purchase and possession and carry, right? The concept of keep and bear arms, using the context of the definitions of the day. You have a right to do that. Now, so back to the business model. I do this store for two reasons and two reasons only. The main reason is to enable every law-abiding citizen in the United States, patriot Americans, God-fearing, Bible-thumping, gun-toting Americans. I want to help them exercise their Second Amendment right, and I don't want price to be an obstacle to the entry into firearm ownership. Right. The second reason is piss off as many liberals as possible, and I do that, just by living, by being a conservative, by exercising my First Amendment rights, multiple press, speech, religion, and the Second Amendment rights as well. Did you know the Second Amendment is the only one that says shall not be infringed? Not even your religious liberties has the added caveat of shall not be infringed. So you got to take that in context. That means something, right? Anyway, and so my business model at the moment is to provide people with the opportunity to exercise their Second Amendment rights. Now listen, let's just be real, right? Our nation's going to hell in a handbasket, right? More rapidly than we ever thought it could possibly happen. We thought Obama was banned. Biden is just driving us off a cliff, and not just free falling at the rate of acceleration of gravity. It's rocket-powered, jet-powered propulsion straight to hell and tyranny. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to make a few bucks. I got very low overhead. So back to the business model, got very low overhead. I can cover those overhead expenses just by selling other stuff in my store. So if you want to come by, I got a little bit of ammo, got a little bit of clean spies, I got a little bit of other stuff. But regardless, I'm committed for the foreseeable future to sell my firearms at cost. So now let me just, for clarity, because I want to make sure we're clear on this, all my firearms on my site actually have a 4% markup from cost. And the reason being is my cost includes credit card fees, right? So when you buy something from a credit card or using the credit card online, my credit card, charges anywhere from about 3 to 4%. And so I've added that in the base cost. So when I say at cost, it's at cost, my cost, which is not just the cost of the product, but the credit card charges as fees, right? There's going to be minimal variability on that, okay? With that said, if you come in and give me hard, cold cash, I wish I had some hard, cold cash right now, I'd show it to you. I'm willing to give you another 4%. In other words, that credit card processing fee, since we're not going to do it, since you give me cash, I'm going to give you 4% off even more. Listen, this is just insanity. But that's how much I love our nation. I love our community, our state, our government, our way of life, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to enable as many law-abiding citizens as possible to exercise their Second Amendment right and to defend themselves, their family, and this great nation from tyranny. And one of the things that moves me most, and it's a abbreviated version of what Thomas Jefferson said. If you go down to his monument, if you look what's written on the inside, he says, "I pledge eternal vigilance over every form of tyranny, over the mind of man." And so, we just got a nation now that they're all part of the cancel culture. They are inflicting violence. These are nothing different, nothing more than brown shirts in pre-Nazi Germany. And those brown shirts were basically absorbed into the SS, the Gestapo. And that's exactly the way Biden's administration and much of social media now, what they do and how they operate, right? To include the violence part. I mean, we see that all over the country. And if you think Lovettsville is immune, if you think we live in some kind of a bubble, like the show Truman, Jim Carrey, you're living in La La Land, right? It's coming at some point. When you leave our little lovely Lovettsville, you will encounter more and more of this kind of violence against fellow Americans, and you need to be in a situation where you can defend yourself. So, with that said, all firearms at cost for the foreseeable future. God bless those who want to work on Minuteman Arms. Take care.